Hi, I'm Chaplain William Johnson with our Monday morning meditation. As always, welcome to this Monday morning meditation. It is designed to be an inspiration and an encouragement to all of us as we are journeying through life. And so we're so glad to be able to share this message with you. Just remember, as we share this message, give us your feedback either through email or through the chat line or on YouTube. If you're watching us on YouTube, please subscribe and let us know what you think about our messages and our sharing. We want to improve and we want to be helpful to all of us. Today, our Monday morning meditation is entitled The Secret to Success. The Secret to Success. Back in 1987, when I was graduating from high school, I remember a series of great movies. I thought they were, probably because they were from my era, and looking back on them, they brought all kinds of feelings and emotions. But there was one such movie starring Michael J. Fox, I believe, and I believe the young lady's last name was Slater. But he starred in a movie entitled The Secret to My Success. One of my favorite movies. I love Michael J. Fox from way back in the day. But this movie in particular was interesting. He represented a young man who was talented and gifted and had all sorts of abilities, graduated from Kansas State University, a Midwest town, a Midwest school, from which I am from the area in the Midwest. And he made his way to New York City to start a new job and wanted to make it in New York. And when he arrived there, what he discovered is that life wasn't so easy. Before he can get started with his new job, another corporation had bought out and took over his corporation and made his job redundant. And so he was fired before he even got started. What a storyline, right? To start. And some of us have had those sorts of experiences. We've had life not start the way we want. And if we were to write our own script or be able to tell our own story or develop our own narrative, we in some ways would have to say that we were stopped before we ever got started. We had things happen to us before we ever got a chance to live out our dreams or our aspirations. And so it is with this story. And he determines in his own spirit that he is not going to give up. And so he goes from place to place trying to get a job with no success and finds himself in the mailroom of another corporation. And from there, he concocts the idea to recreate himself as an executive, even though he was not hired to be an executive and would never be able to make it through the ranks. He, in the mailroom, discovers from what he reads in the mailroom a way to be able to develop a successful path for himself by naming himself a new executive and carrying out duties that no one really understood he could do. We know that doesn't happen in the real world, but what it's a fantasy, right? But so it is with many of us, though, that we have found ourselves being stifled with our dreams and our hopes and our aspirations, and we are finding ourselves stuck sometimes, not being able to live out our dreams or the things we imagine would make for success. So we've created a new image, a new personality, a new identity, like he does in the movie, and we become something other than who we are, climbing up ladders of success that are not leaning against buildings that we wanted to climb into, or ladders that we never really thought were our own. Living out someone else's dreams, trying to become someone else's, do what someone else thought we should do, rather, and to discover that life proved to be frustrating, even though we had not had a chance to live out our dreams. It's a wonderful story. I invite you to come watch the movie. It is a great movie indeed. But I wanted to talk about the secrets to success for ourselves because I think that there's something meaningful here as we share. Now, the word success, and I'm going to read just a little bit, if you don't mind, from one of my favorite authors, Mark Nepo. And many of you have heard me quote him before, and he shares these words, and I'm going to put on my reading glasses so that I can be sure to try to get this right. The word success derives from a Latin verb meaning to come close after. What success really means for each of us depends on what we're after and what we come close to. The soul of success enters on our very individual journey as we struggle to come close to what we want or aim for. But the success of the soul centers on the part finding its place in the unity of things. This is deeper, and it's a deeper journey, and it reveals itself through the life of experience as we humbly come close to what the very pulse of life is and how all these things are connected no matter what we want or start out wanting or aiming for. I love that quote from Mark Nepo. And because I think there is a success that is considered success externally, what other people think about us. We talked about this the other week about the image that we present or our ability to garner influence in the world. And we also come to the place where even the things that we are trying to do, the intentions of our actions, sometimes come off differently than what it is that we intended to do in the first place. However, it is important for us to imagine a new sense of success. What does it mean for me to be successful in my own life? And I would dare say that being successful is being authentically you, or me having the ability to be authentically me, to live out my dreams, to live out my desires, to live out the focus for why I was placed here in the world. So I'm taken to a story in which Jesus finds himself encountering the Satan or the Saturn or whatever you want to call it, the satanic force or that which is opposite of God. Jesus, in the 4th chapter of the Gospel of Luke and in Matthew even, is driven out into the wilderness to be tempted by Satan. And even though he's there, after fasting 40 days and 40 nights, he discovers that he is challenged on his hunger, on his need. And so Satan says, listen, I'll make sure you have food. All you have to do is turn this stone into bread. And Jesus responds to him that human beings shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds from God's mouth. And so Satan says, okay, well, if it's not just your hunger I'm going to appeal to, why don't I take you to the pinnacle of the city, take you high and tell you I'll give you everything you could ever want if you bow down to me. And certainly Jesus responds to him, no, that's not why I'm here either. That level of success, what you want me to think is success, may not very well be success, and it will destroy me. And even then, after that, Satan takes him to the pinnacle of the temple, the religious high marker or high place. And he says to him, if only you would yield to me, I'll be able to do all these things. Cast yourself down and see if God's angels will not keep you from hurting yourself. And Jesus says, now, I shouldn't tempt God by doing dangerous things, risky things, just to see if God will rescue me from that. In other words, all of these levels and areas of success in being able to make a living for ourselves, to turn the stones into bread, or the success of being powerful in the world, to have influence and people listen to us so that our names are echoed as the most powerful men and women in the world. That may not be that in which we ought to attain or look for, rather, or aspire to. Even in the place where we might find ourselves doing risky things, as if we're invincible, that we can drive 100 miles an hour and still make it through, as if we are superhuman, even that is not courageous or not success, or even in this climate in which we're in a pandemic, to take unnecessary risk with our lives and the lives of others just to prove that we can do it. Some people call that freedom. I don't. What I've discovered is that success in and of itself is you being authentically you. Yeah. And how you being authentically you and me being authentically me blends with the rest of creation from the one who created us all. Living in harmony and in love with one another, and being at the place where we're living to the height of our creation, is the best thing that we could call success. It's the secret to success. So as you go through the course of this week, I am hoping that you are successful in life, successful in loving those in which you come in contact with, successful in learning as much as you can about this gift called life, successful in being able to leave a legacy of a person who's lived their best life, their authentic life, their full life, as much as they could, filling out the space they're in. When I was growing up, I remember wanting this very special pair of Converse Chuck Taylors. Yeah, I'm reminiscing. And having someone buy them. I think it was an uncle of mine that bought me a pair of Converse Chuck Taylors, but they were a little too big. And he said to me, well, you'll grow into them. And when you grow into them, you can wear them. And I couldn't wait to put on my new Chucks, Converse All-Stars, and to be able to put my feet in shoes that I could fit. How about that? I'm encouraging you to put your feet in shoes you can fit, that are only made for you. Your life is what you can fit, so that you're living your best life at the best time, which is right now. That is the secret to success. I don't know about Michael J. Fox. I know that story is a beautiful story in The Secret to My Success, but I think he came full circle, that being someone he was not what he ought to have been, but being himself is how you really want to grow. And climb that ladder and you'll discover joy, peace, and love. So as I say all the time, you are loved, you are appreciated, and you are irreplaceable. Thank you for this time with us on this meditation. And I hope that it blesses you and your family in the future. Thanks so much. Bye.